Where do we draw the line? Where do we draw this line between good and evil, right and wrong? How do we decide where that line is drawn? Are we to judge the actions of another when their very actions causes a lifetime of pain, torment, and misery for others? Hello and welcome to the Nights of Awakening. I'm your host, Justin. Before we get started, I want to send my most sincere and deepest condolences to the family affected by the tragedy that was explained in Charles's most recent video. I also want to give my full support in helping raise the funds needed by the family during this most troubling time. I want to encourage you to please consider helping them out, and you can do that by going over to PayPal and sending anything you can. Believe me, every little bit helps. The subject line is donations, and you're going to send this to, and forgive me, I'm not going to try to read this, I'm just going to spell it out for you. That way I make sure you get it, that I'm getting it to you correctly. You can send those at PayPal over to NAAGLOKISHIVANATH@gmail.com. Again, that's NAAGLOKISHIVANATH@gmail.com. I'll also put a link down in the description for this. But again, please consider helping them out. It really will go a long way. So Charles shared a video recently regarding some recent events, which has provided me the opportunity to reevaluate where I draw lines when confronting situations where these types of themes are prevalent. I don't want to get into it because it's already been gone over a million times. And if you really are curious, and I hope that you are, because I really hope you give Charles a chance to listen to his video, it's over at the KOA YouTube. And I'll also put a link in the description below for that as well. But I want to make this clear. I stand behind Charles, as does the KOA. I also want to address the slippery slope that we fall into when we try to rationalize the motivations and place the feelings and respects of the person or persons or those situations who cause irreversible harm over those who are the victims of such actions. Right and wrong, good and evil. These ideals for some people are subjective in terms of perspective. This perspective for each of us can be different based on our beliefs, our values and morals, our theological understandings, our education, and even down to the very paths that we walk. Which, in a way, already kind of causes us to pick sides on certain things from the very get-go. For me, there are some instances where right and wrong and good and evil are black and white. Things like sexual abusers and sexual predators, murderers, domestic abusers, terrorists. You get the picture, people like that. But with other situations, I find it a little more difficult to draw a line between right and wrong, good and evil. But when we draw a line in the sand, as it were, we're choosing one over the other. We are taking sides. We are standing up for one and standing against another. Sometimes this pits us against the very people who are close to us, to the very ideas and causes that we may have supported up until that very moment. Up until the moment that we took the stand. Up until the moment where we drew the line in the sand. And it can be hard and painful to do this. But also remember that it's sometimes necessary. Why is it necessary? Because in situations like this, you have victims on one hand and the cause and source of the harm on the other. In my estimation, the victim should never come second to spare the feelings or legacy of the person or the situations that caused that harm in the first place. When we start to rationalize and justify why someone caused harm and then give them a pass, irregardless of how much damage they cause, we then are in turn giving every single other person who causes harm the same pass. We give them an easy out. Even with the situation, as it were, I want to say that even good people cause bad things to happen sometimes. But this still does not excuse their actions from judgment, no matter how good they were before. I also want to point out that we can judge a situation as it is without judging the motivations of the actions behind the situations themselves. We can still judge a situation and its impact on others. The point of contention, as it seems, that has sparked over the video Charles did is because some people are saying that Charles is wrong because he's not taking into account that the person who had caused this pain for others had feelings too. That Charles was singling out a whole swab of people who may be suffering with similar issues. I'm telling you that that's not the case. But you can believe me or not, I really don't care. For those who say, what gives you the right to judge? Well, taking a stand comes with consequences that are both good and bad. You might want to consider both if you are to make the most informed decision that you can. I want to point out that not making a choice and not taking a stand will end in the same outcome. It too comes with consequences, good and bad. Better to know where you're going, what you're doing, who you're standing up for, versus just being taken for a ride or being caught by surprise. A person's right to choose comes with the right for others to judge the outcome of that choice, especially if those choices caused undue and irreversible damage to somebody. But what choice does the victim have before the harm was set upon them? I'm asking you that. The victim then can only choose what happens next. And a person's rights end when they start interfering with another person's rights to live their life in peace. Charles, do not pander to what is popular, because honesty and integrity is more important. Say what you feel you need to say because it has to be said. Take a stand. It is more important to be true to who you are versus how people will look at you and judge your words. Besides, they're going to judge you anyway, and I know you understand that. And I know that you're okay with that. I know this sounds harsh, but you shouldn't concern yourself with pleasing or sparing the feelings of others. Honesty is always more important. And Charles, before I go, it takes great amounts of courage to stand up for something that is right, especially in the face of so many who you call friend and ally, and when so many seem to be against you. When standing up for yourself and others, when taking a stand and taking sides, in seeking justice for those who you stand for, employ mercy for those who stand opposite of you, because they may be standing up for what they feel is right too, no matter how wrong they may be. Have faith in what you are doing is the right thing to do, because standing up for those who have the burden of a lifetime of pain and misery versus those people or situations that have caused the pain is the right thing to do. Have hope that this will end as peacefully as possible and that those affected will heal with time, empathy, and compassion. Continue to be the noble person in both your dealings with those under your protection and those who stand against you, for these actions will be what is remembered of you. Again, please consider clicking the link that I'm going to provide to you down below and make a donation to the family so they can help. It just helps them move past this part of it. There's so many parts of the grieving process. Let's help them get this off their plate so they can actually get to moving on with their lives. I love you all very much. And until next time, awaken the night within.